Welcome back. Very recently, I made a video where I tried to analyze one of my own games without Stockfish to try to figure out what I did wrong and how far back I lost the advantage, that sort of thing. And I was mistaken. Stockfish showed me, oh, I actually had the advantage at a different point than I thought, and my blunder was a different move than I thought. So I'm going to try it again because I clearly need to practice at it. So let's see how it goes. All right, this is the ending point. This is the end of the game. And you're wondering nobody's in checkmate? Well, that's just because we've just repeated moves. I do know that the reason it ended in a draw is because we repeated moves. I don't know if that was the best idea for either one of us at the time. I do know that my opponent was rated 20-something points higher than me. And at that point, I decided I would just try to repeat to get the draw and hopefully get a point because I was rated 1299. I thought it would bump me up to 1300, but it didn't. I actually didn't get any points for this draw. So my opponent would have had to have been rated much higher than that for me to get a point for it. But anyway, I'm going to try to go backward in my moves here and see if we can figure out what happened. So here is where we repeated, as I've said. And again, I was repeating because I was pretty sure that I didn't have any other option. I was down to 2 minutes in a 10-minute game. My opponent was down to 1 minute. So it's possible I could have tried something a little shifty or crazy, trying to trick them, and then they might have made a mistake with low time. And certainly if I had tried something a little different, it's possible that they would have run out of time and I would have won. But I didn't know. I might be the one that made a mistake if I tried that. So anyway, right before we repeated moves, I had just taken this pawn because my opponent had allowed me to check them here. And so when they moved out of check, I won that extra pawn. And that put me a pawn ahead. But I don't think it gave me an advantage. And before that, we had repeated a couple of times because I had tried the same tactic then, but my opponent didn't fall for it. I don't think either one of us had any advantage here other than they had the 2 pawns over here to my 1. But over here, I had the 2 pawns to their 1. So I had a slight majority on one side. They had a slight majority on the other side. But I don't think, I mean, without the queens on the board, it's possible that these pawns could have overwhelmed my A pawn. Possibly. I'm not sure exactly how that would have played out. I know that our kings were over here, but I might have had to take my king over there to stop that extra pawn, and then their king could have come down through here. And we'd had a chance a few moves earlier to trade queens. I'm going backward here, so if it looks like they're moving into check, they're not. For example, backing up even further, here my opponent, now going forward, my opponent had blocked this check with their queen. And I don't know if I would have taken this, if that would have been a mistake, but I thought it might. Again, I was worried about these 2 pawns against my lone A pawn. So I didn't. Going forward, I checked without. Okay, so going backwards still more. Again, they had blocked that check with their queen. Okay, here's where we traded rooks, and I'm pretty sure that was a good idea at the time, but I don't know for a fact because I had checked with that rook. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Right here, I wonder if I shouldn't have taken this pawn because I had just moved backward to this point. When I checked here and they moved out of check, going forward now, I moved forward to check them again, but I'm wondering if I shouldn't have taken their A pawn at that point, instead of what I did, which was check them again, and they blocked, and then we traded rooks here. Okay, well, let's remember this. We're on move 35, and see if when we turn on Stockfish, if that would have been something that I should have done at that point, or it might not have made a difference. I don't know. Okay, backing up again. Yeah, I think their checking was probably my best move. I don't see anything else. I mean, I guess I could have tried something here. Instead of going down to check on the back rank, I'm wondering if maybe I shouldn't have interposed my rook between their 2 pieces. But then I think they would have taken with their rook, and I would have taken with my queen because the pawn's pinned, and then they wouldn't have had to trade back. They could have taken this pawn at that point. So yeah, maybe checking was the better option rather than interposing there. Because like I said, they could have traded rooks and we'd have done this, but then they could have taken this pawn and they would have been a pawn ahead with nothing standing between those 2 pawns in promotion. I don't know. But it doesn't look like a huge blunder to go check. So anyway, backing up still further. Okay, they had just taken that pawn. Wait, why didn't they take the rook? Oh, if they took the rook, I would have taken their rook. Okay. I don't know. I'm wondering about that. They didn't take my rook here. They took the pawn instead. But yeah, I think if they took my rook, I would have taken their rook. And then I would have been in a position to check them, and they would not have been in a position to check me. Well, yeah, they would. They could have checked me here. They probably could have set up a perpetual there, and it still would have been a draw, is my guess. Okay, backing up still further, I still am not seeing... Okay, we just did a rook trade there too. Oh, and I got a pawn in that rook trade. Okay. Okay, they had just advanced it. I'm still going backward in case that's confusing you, but I'm trying to figure out where I made a mistake. I don't think it was a mistake to get in front of that pawn. That seems very reasonable. Before they moved that, Oh. I had just moved my queen here. I'm pretty sure I found a blunder. Let's back up one move. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I'm not going to go all the way backward, all the way to the beginning, because that doesn't make sense. Because right here, I see what happened. They moved that rook forward, I'm assuming to protect this pawn. But they hung that rook, and I didn't take it. Oh, wow. That's just free, right? And it's check. Oh my. Okay, I don't think I need Stockfish for this, but I'm pretty sure that this was a blunder. When they moved that rook up, it removed the defender of their A rook, and I didn't see it. Clearly, they didn't see it either. And I just moved over here, trying to remember what my thinking was now. Okay, I think my thinking is that they were about to attack this pawn, and I thought if they did, then I would get their queen, but that's not true because their rook would be right there and get their queen, get my queen, but then I would get this pawn with check. But then that pawn's still there, but maybe I would get in front of it. I don't know, but clearly backing up one, I missed that rook. Okay, I'm going to turn on the evaluation and see what this, okay, it shows I have plus or minus, I'm playing with the black pieces. It shows I have minus 11 here. Backing up one. Okay, I am minus 1.3. So that was a huge blunder on their part. Now I'm going to turn on the lines and show the engine on the screen. Well, that shows up hopefully. It says they should have played rook A to D1. I assume to control or exercise some control over this completely open file. That was their best move here. And coming over behind their queen was their next best move. But instead they did that. And yeah, minus 11 if I take the rook down there. Okay, well, I missed that. And since I went over here, did that make it even or give them the advantage? No, I still have an advantage here. Okay, I still have an advantage here. Okay, well, I'm glad I did spot that blunder. Let's see what else. What should I have? Okay, it's their turn. They should have played that, and that's what they played. Best move. Okay, and my best move, well, what I played was to get in front of it, but that was not my best move, according to, well, Stockfish is making up its mind. That's one of my two best moves, but it says rook to d8 would be slightly better. I'm not sure I get that. Maybe for the same reason it was suggesting earlier for them to play rook to d1 to get control of the open file. But I think if I played here, they would have pushed that forward. Is that what it's saying? Yeah, that's what the Stockfish line says. If I played rook to d8, they would push the c-pawn forward, and I would end up on c8 anyway, but with their pawn here. I wonder, but Stockfish thinks that's slightly better if I had done that, to bait the pawn forward and then get in front of it. I do know that if I had played either one of those moves, I think their... Oh, I was going to say their queen could take this pawn, but no, that would stop defending this rook. Okay. Well, I played my second best move, which still gives me an advantage. I know that they moved their rook to behind it. I remember that. And I think I played here, I think, but what was my best move? Rook to d4. Wait, what? Okay, queen to e5 or rook to d4. Or rook to c7. Okay, c7 I guess I understand because it would continue to blockade their c-pawn, plus it would protect my a-pawn. So I do understand rook to c7. But rook to d4, that's here, right? I'm looking at the d down at the bottom and the 4 on the side. That's d4 right there. And it says they wouldn't take. Okay, because again, if they move their queen, I get their rook. So maybe it's a trick trying to get them to take it, but then where's it going after that? It says they would then just move this rook over here, I guess aiming down. Yeah, I'm not going to see rook to d4, and queen to e5 is here, or rook to c7. I think of those three moves, rook to c7 is the one that I'm most likely to see because it defends something and blockades the pawn. Oh, and it would protect this pawn too. Yeah, rook to c7 would be much more likely for me to see because it would protect both of those 7th rank pawns of mine, plus blockading their c-pawn. But what I played instead was this. Is this where I lost? No, I didn't lose all my advantage. I just lost some of my advantage. Look at that. I'm still up a little bit. Minus 0.63. Okay, and it says that their best move is to take this pawn. I think that's what they did in my memory. Yeah, they played their best move, and of course my best move has to be to take this. Oh, it says either pawn, either rook. Rook c captures c6 or rook b captures c6 are both about equal. Okay, well I did it with the b pawn, my b rook, and then they took back, which is their best move. And I took back, which is the only move here really. And I think they checked me here, which it says is their best move. Yes, they checked me, and I got a check. It's the only legal move. And then I think that's where they took this pawn here. And that was their best move. We made several best moves in a row after that huge blunder that I missed and my opponent missed, where we started this going forward again. So if you're lower rated and hoping to get a little bit higher rated, take encouragement from the fact that people around the 1300 level still make blunders like this. I'm assuming that those blunders get fewer and fewer as you get to the higher ratings. But at my rating, they still happen. My opponent played that with, I think, about 5 minutes left, and I missed taking the other rook with about 5 minutes left. But you'll notice that after that, for the most part, each of us have played our absolute best moves. Now, I think some of them are kind of obvious, but now after that, this is where I was wondering if I shouldn't have interposed. It says no. Okay. Rook to c2. Is here, is my second best move, but rook to c1 check is what I played, and that was my best move. It says c5 was my third best, but my biggest advantage is the check on the back rank, which I did, and they moved out of check straight forward, and then check them again is what I did, and this is where I missed that pawn. Is that what I should have taken? Oh, well, they have to move first. King to g3 is their best, and that is what they played. Yeah. Okay, I'm glad I saw that. I am supposed to take the pawn here, but I didn't. I checked them again, and that's not one of my best moves. So did I lose all advantage by not taking that pawn? Yeah. You see the zeros. But it's only zeros if they block with the rook. If they go back, king to g2, I have a slight advantage again. And that might be because I can check again and then pick up the pawn. What's their next best move? King to f2? It says king to f2, then all of a sudden it would be minus 10. And I think that's because I can go around this pawn and check them from there. Okay, but they did block with their rook here. Oh, and it's not my best move to take it. Queen to e5 check, but that would leave us even. That's e5, right? Yeah. And queen to c5, what would that do exactly? Well, that would protect these two pieces with each other. And rook to e3, which is here. That's interesting. But I took. Did I lose advantage here? No, okay. Sorry, it's still zeros here, and they can take back with either their king or their queen, which they did. And now I'm supposed to play queen to e5 check or queen to e7. I did do that. Okay, so we are making best moves, and it was dead even here. So I was right to try to repeat moves. And still zeros. I checked. It's not saying I should take their queen here. Let me back up just a second. Is it saying I should have taken their queen down there? Yeah. Okay. It's saying I still would have been even had I traded queens here. I wasn't sure. Because again, I was worried, you saw the lights from when I went backward earlier. I was worried about these two pawns overwhelming me. But it says if I capture here, they'll capture back. And then I will bring my king up, presumably toward this pawn. I assumed they would come back trying to protect it. But then, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm good enough to shepherd these two pawns on my king side as well as keep those two pawns from advancing on the queen side. I would be afraid we would get in some sort of situation where they would sacrifice one of those so that the other one could pass and promote down here. But it says it would be fine. But I didn't take, I just kept checking. And I'm just watching the zeros to make sure we stayed at 0 this whole time. Okay, and again here it's saying I could take the queen, but that would leave us in exactly the same position we would have been in had I taken the queen earlier when it said it was still equal. Okay, checked. They blocked that way. I checked down here. They blocked. I checked up here. They moved out of there. Okay, and I went there aiming at this pawn, and they moved it. No, they checked first. And this is where, okay, this is the first time where I tried to repeat moves. And when I repeated, they didn't follow up. They moved the pawn that was in danger. They didn't want to repeat at this point. They thought they might have a chance. But I saw that they had left this pawn undefended and a checkable king here. So I checked, and they had to move out of check, and I was able to win that pawn. Oh, it says I have a slight advantage, a very slight advantage. But wait, I can't have a slight advantage, can I? Because they just repeated now. Yeah, here's where we repeated. So I didn't actually have a slight advantage there. It says that black has a very slight advantage. But I think it's only saying that because I have one extra pawn. But I guess Stockfish doesn't measure for perpetual check because clearly they have it here. They're going to go back and check, which they do. I have two choices here, but either way, they can check me. If I go to h8, they could check me here on f8, but still I'm just going to go back up. So, yeah, we repeated here, we repeated, they checked, and I repeated, and that's it. See, yeah, Stockfish is still saying I have a very slight advantage, but it was a repetition. Okay, so I think I did better this time. And just to go back and hit that blunder section where you saw where my opponent hung their rook, and you saw where I failed to take it. That's a huge, what I would call elementary or beginner level blunder with 5 minutes left on the clock that neither one of us saw that. Now, my opponent might have seen it after they moved their rook, but they waited to see if I would see it, and I didn't. So that tells you that as you go up the rating ladder, there are still just elementary level blunders at points, but there are also a lot of best moves. You saw that both of us played best moves, several moves in a row there. So I just it started clicking in my head, and I think the best way to say it is that one difference between a very low rated player and a very high rated player is the ratio of elementary level blunders to best moves. And I would be interested to see if someone has calculated that out in the past, that the better ratio that you get, more best moves compared to how many blunders you have, and your rating should be higher. And the more blunders you have relative to best moves, your rating should be lower. So, and it's hard to do, obviously, because my rating hasn't increased in a while now, over a week. But the idea is to get rid of those elementary blunders, to eliminate them as much as possible, to lessen them as much as possible, and to get best moves more often. So that's definitely one difference between lower rated and higher rated players. Okay. Well, I hope this experiment was interesting for you. I don't know. This one was kind of easy because that blunder was fairly obvious, but thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.